Hey, what's going on,
Ooh.
everybody? It is Brian Aldrich from SeacoastBeverageLab.com, and you have dived headfirst into the Seacoast Beverage Lab podcast, a very special one for this week. And what is today's date? Monday, July 22nd, 2013. We got a panel of fresh faces, minus Norm and Sean, definitely minus Norm. But we're gonna get right to it. We have a panel of beer bloggers from mostly from Maine and one from Massachusetts. But again, I'm Brian, and I'm drinking the Hodad coconut chocolate porter from Fiddlehead of Burlington, Vermont. Or is it South Burlington? I always forget. But, or Shelburne?
Shelburne.
Shelburne, Chad, a nice one. And welcoming for the first time, we have Ben from Active Geek. What's going on, Ben?
Hey, actually, it's Active Beer Geek.
I quit.
Ooh.
I'm Ben from Active Beer Geek. I blog about fitness and beer, and tonight I'm drinking the Galaxy.
Excellent.
I'm getting used to how my webcam works, apparently.
Oh yeah. Oh, you'll get used to it in a couple minutes for sure.
Yeah.
And we have Chada from the Real Beer Nut. What's up, Chad?
Chada from the Real Beer Nut.
I figure I messed up everybody's tonight. No,
Yeah.
we have Chad of beer buddy Chad making his fourth, fifth appearance.
Yeah,
What's
something
going on,
like
Chad?
that. Not too much. Chad from If My Coaster Could Talk up in Bangor, Maine, and I'm drinking a Switchback Dooley's Belated Porter.
Nice. And we have Josh from Lost in the Beer Aisle. How's it going, Josh?
It's just going awesome. Tonight I am drinking a Wachusett IPA, light IPA. It's quite good. And as you mentioned, I'm from Lost in the Beer Aisle, and I also moonlight with Yankee Brew News.
Excellent. We hope to get into that later because I saw the business card pictures online. Pretty classy.
Very exciting.
Yes. And sorry to bring everybody down, but Norm, what's up?
Hey, Norman Miller, Metro West Daily News, The Beer Nut, Real Beer Nut on Twitter, and tonight I'm starting with a Saranac Kolsch.
Classy. And we have a resident beer guy coming in from someone else's house. I don't know whose it is, so if you're watching this live and it's your house, you got this guy. What's going on, Sean?
It's going very well.
Oh boy, didn't mean to throw you
I
off with that
am-
curveball, huh?
Sorry.
Nothing. Go
I am
ahead.
Sean Jansen from TwoBearGuys.com. I am currently drinking a Son of Nomad from Riverwalk Brewing out of my Cape Ann Brewing glass.
Ooh, man.
Both North Shore breweries, and saluting beers from the North Shore today.
Sweet jug. Nice mug. All systems go here. So like I said, the main reason for this kind of hangout is we're straying from the usual having a guest on because this weekend is the fourth annual, Sean?
Fourth annual Beer Bloggers Conference.
Yep, and that's being hosted in Boston. And we couldn't be more excited because that means less travel money for us and more beer money. So we're pretty excited to have everyone come out. Basically what happens at the Beer Bloggers Conference is, you guessed it, beer bloggers from all over the world come into one place and just kind of meet and greet. It's way more of a meet and greet than it is actual learning because we chat with each other a lot through the day-to-day, but it's always nice to see other people in other settings writing about beer and kind of the issues that they face. But nevertheless, if you're in Boston this weekend, there's going to be 138 beer geeks. There's already plenty of beer geeks there anyway, but now we're talking beer writers there. So everything you do will be written down by someone and probably tweeted, hashtagged, Instagrammed, you name it.
Yeah, just following up there, Brian.
Yeah.
It's sort of the things that it's not going to be sitting down teaching you how to write, but more so you get to learn what other people are using as tools, and different things that people are doing with social media, and also come up with some collaboration stuff as a big result from it. Everyone goes in with a different perspective of where that their local craft beer community is, and sort of everyone ends up helping each other out and coming up with ideas and really just helping create a better craft beer community.
It's fun because there's beer geeks and there's beer writers, and it's good when we kind of have a room to just kind of think about that kind of stuff. I mean, this podcast is kind of a product of a lot of things. Sean and I, we met. It was only 2 years ago, but it seems like yesterday at a beer bloggers conference. But we met in Portland, Oregon. So I mean, now I know where you live and seen where you sleep. So I mean, we just get that close. But so, like I said, we have a lot of bloggers here, and I want to cut to it because we're doing a two-part show. This first part is kind of the East Coast side, and these aren't all of them, but these are kind of my hand-picked. I follow, and I hope to interact with more. And at 8:45 or maybe an hour from now, we're gonna have some West Coast people. But can we start with Ben? Ben, would you mind giving us a little background on kind of how you got started in beer and what you're writing about right now?
Sure. Right now, I'm not sure actually what I'm writing about right now, but my background in beer, I turned 21 and I almost hated beer completely and gave it up. And then my friend told me to try the Of Love and Regret by Stillwater. And since then, I've absolutely loved almost every beer I've had.
Awesome.
So,
And then how did the whole fitness and beer tie in? You just kind of two hobbies colliding?
well, I've been into fitness forever, and I've noticed the two communities are very similar, almost like a family. You know, when you get into fitness and you find the right people to train with and everything else, especially martial arts like myself, then it's a big like community and family. The same thing with craft beer. Once you find everybody who likes the same thing that you do and are so passionate, and just all you can do is talk about it all day, then those people are basically your second family, third family.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's pretty intense. I mean, because the company that puts this on, Chada, is your baby coming to the podcast?
Oh yeah.
That's good. No, it's all right.
Yeah. Got a little baby action
A
going.
little baby action.
That's
First
right.
time.
If you
First
need to
time,
do
long
any
time.
feeding, that's okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
Just cover up.
Yeah, just rip up the breast.
Yeah.
No, so what I was trying to say is, I mean, the company that puts this on is Zephyr Adventures, and they do a lot of different conferences. Wine conference. They do a what do they do? A adventure hiking, Sean? But yeah,
Outdoor adventures and bike trips and mountain hike, backpacking and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, it's cool to see that there's a lot of these groups, trying to bring these people together because it's very much not a sit in the corner by yourself and write. It's
Right.
It's all about trying to meet people and all that. So, what have been your kind of most important I guess topics that you've written about since you started? Anything that you've really become passionate about writing about?
I like doing live events mostly. Like when I'm really big on Twitter, so I love to tweet all the time. But when I just got my semi-professional camera, and I love going to events, taking photos, being sort of the residential, unofficial photographer, and just share everything visually. So.
Awesome. And I guess we'll go right down the line. I mean, Chad, you've been on before, but you want to give us a brief history on? I mean, talk about from nothing to a Hollywood star up in Bangor. What's going on? I mean, what's the history with Macosta Could Talk?
I'm actually hosted by the Bangor Daily News, and I wasn't beer blogging. And last October, they approached me and asked me to.
No way.
Blogging, they're kind of building their media presence with bloggers, and hey, I'm drinking it. I might as well talk about it. So
That's awesome.
that's where that came from.
So how's now how do you find writing for a paper? Do you have deadlines and things like that? Just like any other newspaper person?
No, actually, I'm just kind of on my own. I do what I want. I write about what I want. I don't have deadlines. I don't have topics. I just do my own thing, and yeah, works
awesome.
out.
And then you did some videos too. Want to give those a quick shout out?
Yeah, I've done a couple of videos, a couple of beer cocktails. I did a couple pairing videos and cooking video, chili. So
awesome. I'll put those links in the show notes because if you want to see Chad do a was it the pour with the
pour, man,
out? It's awesome. Well done, and I think I learned that from you, and I take that home with me.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother. And we have Josh. How about? I mean, you've been around. What's the history behind Lost?
Whoa, been around.
You've been around. Hey,
yeah, just a little.
I get around town.
So what's the history?
Dirty Penny.
Oh boy.
So I got into craft beer a few years ago, following this turns out to be false rumor that it makes your hair grow back. Just kidding. So
and to everyone listening, he's completely bald.
I actually got into craft beer, really, really strongly into craft beer in 2009. That's when I started Lost in the Beer Aisle. Before that, I was kind of into beer. I'd go to the local store, pick up your 6-pack that I never tried before or something like that, but frankly didn't know a lot about beer. So then I started getting into craft beer and found actually Julio's Liquors here in Westboro. I moved to a town of Westboro in Massachusetts, and they have this monster craft beer selection at this liquor store, and it's kind of opened my mind up. So went from slowly progressing from pictures on Facebook of these crazy beers that I found to writing a couple sentences about them to writing a couple paragraphs about them to having the blog. It's kind of all history from there. The twist on the blog and sort of my thing is trying to keep my topics and my reviews of beer straightforward, unintimidating for the new craft beer drinker. And my challenge is, as I've learned so much over the last 4 years, still writing so in a way that is palatable to the newbie. So trying to stay away from a lot of big lingo and things like that.
Nice. And how's that been so far with the beer reviews? I mean, because you do one every day. How many beer reviews have you had so far?
We crossed over 1,000 total reviews on Lost in the Beer Aisle earlier this year. That's all in. So I do have a weekend guest blogger and different folks who sometimes guest review for me. So I think we're maybe around 1,200 now.
Nice. Well, congrats on that.
And then, of course, there's the just this last fall started writing for Yankee Brew News, and that really was came about through really happen circumstance. Got my name got dropped. Ben Roche from Wormtown dropped my name when they were looking for someone to do their cover piece in April of last year. So I ended up doing that. It was about the Worcester, Mass. Craft beer scene. And then it actually blossomed later that fall into writing the Eastern Mass piece. So super stoked about that. And
I think the best part of that is that you get to work with Jamie McGee.
Oof.
Jamie is a good time.
Is he sober when you submit your articles, or
Is he ever sober?
I
You
have
got to
never
submit them in
seen
crayon.
Sober.
Have you ever shaken his hand?
No.
Fist bump.
So I think what's cool about that is now you have an online presence, but then there's a whole different presence, which I found out about. I mean, early on is a lot of people won't read online news. So if they can go to a bar and find a stack of your papers there, and you have an article in them, that's a whole different reader base.
Yeah, it's interesting that way, and part of you has to worry about is the written word kind of dying as online goes more popular. But it's amazing how many people are subscribing to Yankee Brew News and it's alive and thriving. So
It's awesome.
And Josh, I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but I really like Lost in the Beer Aisle, what that's about, and just the name of it, and kind of where you come up with that too, though, because and more so from our perspective of there's a lot of times where our friends have stood in front of the beer coolers and just called us up and said, "Hey, I like this beer. They don't have it. What's the other beer that's just like this?" And it kind of funny. It happened to me this week. My friend lives down in Connecticut, and he's like, "Oh, you mentioned a brewery to me the other day," and I was like, "Yeah, I heard about it, but I've never tried their beer. It's I think it's Two Roads Brewing." And so he was out of the store, picks him up, and he was like, "This is awesome." So it's kind of like using social media, like websites, to help people really become unlost in the beer aisle. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of the funny thing is I came up with a name because in the beginning I literally was lost. I had no idea what I was doing, and I wanted to convey to other people that it's okay to be lost, and it's okay not to know about beer and just blindly try stuff, and it's okay to put your own thoughts out there about a particular beer, because it's all subjective and you can't be really wrong.
Truth. Now, I don't, Norm and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we ever actually said what we do or how we started. I mean, so Norm, you've been here before Prohibition, so I mean, what's the no?
It was because of Norm that they created Prohibition.
Yeah.
How did the thanks Norm. No, how did the Real Beer Nut start? A brief history of the nut himself.
All right. Well, I started drinking beer probably in my mid-20s. I was living up in New Hampshire.
Mid-70s.
Brew Pub was the closest bar to our office, so we used to go there a lot. And it was so much cheaper to get 5 6-ounce samples for $4 than it was to buy a mixed drink. So I just started drinking beer and realized that I liked it. Fast forward to a few years later, I'm working in New Hampshire. Discovered a lot of the beer bars in Boston. And my editor is like, hey, you like beer? We have a business writer writing a story about Brahma beer. It's this crappy Brazilian beer that was advertising on every single billboard in Framingham because Framingham has a large Brazilian population. So they asked me, hey, can you do it like a little 6-inch, that's like 180-word review?
Hey.
That's how articles are mentioned. You might know that better. So they asked if I could do like a small, like 180-word review of Brahma beer to go along with the main article. And from there, he's like, hey, how'd you like to do this every week? And me, I was like, well, I'd like to, but, beer gets expensive. I'd need a beer budget. Oh, sure. And so that was in 2006, and I've been writing the weekly column every single week for 7 years, and then started doing a blog, I think, 2007 or 2008, and I try to update at least 3 or 4, usually 5 times a week on the blog, and that's been the last 5, 6 years.
Nice. And then you've been to every fest known to man, which is cool. And then
not every fest, just a lot of them.
Nice. Just most of them.
Yeah.
Nice. So really quick, for me, I started 3 years ago out of Portsmouth. My first like really craft beer, which is sad to say. Well, I mean, not sad to say for the brewery. I've already started off on a bad foot. But no, what's sad to say is because it took me so long was the Portsmouth Brewery. I was my first micro brew of all time, and that quickly led to me wanting to spread the good word about it, and found out many people already knew about craft beer, and it wasn't just me. But felt good about writing it. It was actually me and 2 or 3 other people that came up with the name Secret Beverage Lab after the very first post. All 3 of them were like, "Ah, we're good." Because they didn't think they're like, let's not take it too seriously, and I didn't think I was taking it too seriously, but they didn't see what I was kind of going for. So it's all good for them because they have a good craft beer friend. But so I'm just a solo on that, and then quick history on the podcast. We've only been going since August. It's actually almost been a year. Late next month. We've been going, and this is our 42nd episode, and kind of along the same idea is I met a couple guys at last year's Beer Bloggers Conference, Jay and Eric Ducote, who are coming to the Beer Bloggers Conference. They do BR Beer Scene, and they do BiteandBooze.com, which they're out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and they had a beer podcast, and I've been listening to a couple other ones, and I was taking the bits and pieces that I liked out of all of them and try to get a good panel of people that I could have talked about beer news, and I think it's turning out pretty good.
Shout out to Frank there, though.
Huh? No. A big shout out goes out to a podcast that hasn't been up in a couple months, or almost a year, is Getting Tanked with Frank. My good buddy Frank Barrett out of Nebraska. Big shout out. He had a good podcast going. It's kind of like comedy meets beer, and I like that, and try to spin off that with this, and hopefully see him come back. But I think after picking up steam, we keep getting these guests on, and people seem to like it. So we're gonna keep doing it from Norm's Dungeon and from my attic and Sean's central air conditioned house. We're gonna keep doing it. So
Random stranger's house.
Yeah, every stranger's house. But so with that note, spread the word. Those are watching live and chatting live, yes, thank you. And SBLpodcast.com, you know and love it. And let's hear the story about the 2 beer guys, because
before that, just finishing up on that podcast.
Yeah.
We had a quite far ride from Chicago to Indianapolis, and stopped off at a couple different stops, and we sort of talked about what would be cool to do, and whether or not we could actually pull it off. And you really, Brian, took the reins right there and drove it forward, and kind of got a motley crew of New England, and figured out who was available type of deal, and calling some relief pitchers all the time. And so I think we've sort of settled in. This is what, episode 42?
You know it.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll be around, and we'll be talking about 100th episode soon. and be going strong and actually really helping the New England and the national beer scene. And we haven't had anyone over from overseas yet to be. No, we had one guest from England, right?
No.
Did we?
Did we have one person that was on the podcast that was from far?
It could have been Momo just speaking British.
I thought there was like those. Didn't we have some people that did like a bar crawl? No, maybe.
No, different podcast. Boo.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
But we got it. Just saying out there. Anybody awake in Scotland or London? Let us know.
No, they should be just screaming about that baby that was born. Anyway.
Yeah, we need an international guest. But going back to what you brought up, Brian, Two Beer Guys. So it was started by Ian Alpar and I in about right at the beginning of 2006. We kind of started it in 2005. We had gone to a fundraiser for the Pan Mass Challenge at Harpoon that our friend was doing, and we got really inspired, and we wanted to share news about it, about our trip and our adventure, and at the same time, it's funny that we were just really good at finding the great prices of beers, so we would call each other and say, hey, this place has like a 12-pack for $7.99. You got to get over there today, or it's going to be all gone, and they're not going to have any beer left. So we ended up at both of our houses having like a 3-foot by 5-foot wall of beer, but we ended up realizing all the beer was like the same style, light beer, and we kind of got sort of sick of the same beer over and over again. So we decided if we were going to take that same $7.99 and put it into a 6-pack, that we would start writing it down. And we came up with our own little database, and there was no blog sites at the time, and we were HTML coders, so we just wrote our own basic cheesy website, and it's kind of where we are now. We sort of turned that into PHP over the time, and went from a Blogger site to a WordPress site, because I think pretty much everybody that was on Blogger went over to WordPress for sure.
Yep.
And Two Beer Guys sort of morphed into this like sharing beer news into working with breweries, doing tastings and events. We started two beer weeks, North Shore Beer Week and Portsmouth Beer Week. It was so much resistant that people from outside would be able to come in and say, hey, I want to do an event, and then started off with 3 events the first year, 15 the next year, 35 the year following. So, and both of those are in their 4th year, which is great.
Nice.
Now, I want to give a shout out about the Beer Bloggers Conference if I can. Back before the first one even started, it was in Boulder. I was getting emails from this guy in Colorado. They're doing this conference. You gotta come. And I was like, really? I love Colorado. I've been there beforehand. Why do I want to go? And then we decided that like all 6 of us would go. And Jenny was pregnant at the time, so Amber really wasn't into beer as much as she is now. And Ian and his wife went. And I got to thank Billy Bros from Billy Brew to actually. I think I went because he emailed me so many times. I was like, I gotta get this guy to shut up, so I'm gonna go. And it was like the time of
just
our
go
life.
slap in the face.
Yeah, we met Carla there for the first time, along with a lot of other friends. And I think year over year, the reason why I go back is that there's just some great people out there in the beer community, and this conference is just a fun time to reunite and get re-inspired to write. I mean, if you notice today on my site, it was the first time in a couple months, at least, that I was able to find a chance to write and get inspired. And I wrote a little story about why I'm pumped about the Bloggers Conference coming to Boston.
Oh yeah, I mean, and
the crew.
Yeah, the crew with a K. We gotta get to that.
Yeah, that's I can't take any credit for that. That's all Amber.
Interesting.
Crew with a K.
Interesting. Ladies be using K's for crew.
Yeah.
But real quick before we get to the chat room questions, because we do have a lot of them, and we have about 20 minutes left. Like, there's no smoke machine behind me. You can see there's only a couple of Chinese hats and some tin signs. But Sean, you guys are kind of like the jack of all trades and master of them all, because you write, you do all these events, and you still come here every Monday with a smile on the old face. So for that, I mean, I don't know what you're drinking or smoking or whatever, but the beer guys are constantly smiling, which is crazy. What do you attribute that friggin' excitement to? Just craft beer?
Yeah, there's the passion and there's a lot of love for it, and we've actually met more friends and more just friendly people going either to beer festivals or hosting festivals. And I think we talked about it, Brian, about after the ACBF when we gave a shout out to a couple of guys that came up to me and was like, "Hey, I met you guys there," or watched you guys on the podcast. I love watching it. You just get so humbled by it, and it's just a great feeling.
Pretty cool. So yeah, as I said, we got some chat room questions. People in the chat room. I think Carla is who's regularly on the show, but she'll be on the second half. Has a couple questions for the bloggers here. So Sean, would you want to pick some of them?
Yeah. Well, even before starting off to that, if we could just do like a kind of like a firing squad, just go down the road with the first question of being why did you decide to go to the bloggers conference? Kind of like a quick 20-second answer.
Go, Ben.
Meet new people, blog about new things, and brainstorm.
Nice. For me, it's meet old when I call friends now, and definitely meet new people, and because it's in Boston, to show the people out west that there's actually awesome beer out east. Chada.
Mostly because it's right local, it's right in Boston, and I just started blogging, and because that guy over there tweeted about it all last year, so got to check it out.
Sweet. Would you crack open a Budweiser? What was that?
No, I got a tin roof.
Ooh.
Voodoo Bangle from Louisiana.
Rusted.
Nice. Tin roof. Shout out. Josh, go.
So yeah, I echo Chad. It was super convenient that it's in Boston, so it was like a total no-brainer. I've been really jealous in years past that my travel budget wouldn't allow me to go out. But to echo some of the other things people said, meeting people, I've followed a lot of these blogs for years, so you feel like you kind of know the people, but you never get a chance to meet them. And then of course, the networking aspect is a part of it. Learning tips and tricks and what other people are doing would be super helpful, I think, as well.
Yeah, nice. Norman. I mean, he's presenting this year, folks. Don't kid yourself.
Ooh.
Well, that's the main reason I'm going. No.
Oh, yeah, that's it. You freaking gypsy.
No, I like talking to beer people. I mean, generally, beer people are good people, and you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of beer geeks for 2 or 3 days straight. I mean, that's just going to be fun. I just wanted to hang out with other people who like good beer.
Nice.
True.
And Sean, you kind of already answered, but anything you want to?
Yeah, I would just, just a quick one for that. I'd say the passion, the friends, and also I'm really excited about the fact that all of the beer wives are attending this year as actually attendees, and they're coming to different things, and
let's just correct it. All of your beer wives, because
right.
my wife is not showing up.
Yeah, I thought you knew something and I didn't.
Yeah. Sean's pouring all the wives.
All of our beer wives are
Yes.
showing up, and they're actually attending and participating, and they write occasionally now and then, and do stories, and I know that they're going to get the bug once we're done. So I'm pumped about that. I like that blogging bug. The craft
Blogging
beer
bug.
community just needs more people speaking positive comments.
For sure. Now we'll go the opposite way now. So you ask yourself the question, answer it.
Yeah.
and pass
So
it to
this one comes in hot from Zach Rothman. He's
Coming in
one
hot.
of our newest fans. We'll
He's
be
going
meeting
to
him
the
for the
conference,
first time
too.
at the conference,
Yeah.
so I'm pretty pumped about that. But he asks us all, what are you looking forward to most about the Beer Bloggers Conference? For me,
Did we just say that? Did we just answer that?
just what are you looking forward to
Why are we
most?
going? I didn't say what's our thing we're looking for.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Oh, so I guess it's worth explaining what's actually happening too, Sean.
Right.
So I mean, have a couple of highlights before you answer.
You want to go? I wasn't prepared for that.
Well, are you going in blindfolded? So I mean, Jim Cook speaking. We're going to Sam Adams. Oh yeah, Josh. I mean,
There you go. Here's the agenda. Right?
he's X'd out everything. X'd everything out.
How's that, right? I got it all highlighted. I know what I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'm
So, I mean,
excited most about the speed blogging.
Now what's speed
Yes.
blogging? Sean, what is speed blogging?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you say that.
What are you
Talking
fucking?
really fast.
So basically, they set up certain tables, and every 5 minutes, a different brewery comes to your table. sharing a beer with you, telling the story about it, while everyone is typing furiously on their keyboard and trying a beer that they may have had before, a beer that most likely they actually haven't had before. It's kind of like speed dating, but then you don't have to dig them home.
Nice. Oh my God, Norm, what are you looking forward to most besides presenting yourself?
Well, I am looking forward to presenting. I'm doing with John Hall, author of Massachusetts Breweries. But other than that, I'm looking forward to the speed blogging thing. Seems kind of cool, so I'm looking forward to that. And Beer Social, because I'm always looking to find new ways to integrate social media. I'm still resisting Instagram, but I'm thinking I'm going to finally break down to that one. And I'm not going to Tumblr. I'm not going to Tumblr.
Yes, a lot of Norm selfies coming at you.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of pictures of, hey girls, hey.
Hey boys. Josh, what are you looking forward to most?
Norm, of course.
Yes.
I think I'm only going to go on Sunday for his talk. No, more seriously, the beer dinners, there's a lunch and a couple beer dinners. Those all look really awesome. And before Norm can jump in here, I do believe they're going to have vegan options. Yes, I'm the resident vegan beer drinker, so it'll be fun to see what they have in store for a vegan beer pairing, which you don't see very many beer dinners with those kind of options. So,
awesome. Chad, what are you looking forward to?
I have no idea, honestly.
Just going in, hey, whatever happens.
Yeah,
Hugs and high fives.
I'm just honestly looking forward to meeting everybody and checking out what's there. I've never toured Sam Adams, so that'll be cool. Oh, whatever. No expectations, just going to have a good time.
Yep, just same on this end, good times. And
I learn a few things.
Yep. Speed blogging is always fun. Actually sharing a room with Norm and Chad, which is probably what I'm looking forward to most.
That'll be interesting.
But but just showing. Yeah, just one. We have one tiny blanket for the 3 beards. Anyway, I'm off track. No, but honestly, I'm looking forward to going to Harpoon because I haven't been to the new beer hall, so we're gonna go there and check it out.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be pretty sweet. And Ben, what are you looking forward to?
Absolutely everything.
Nice. Simple.
The dinners, the talkers, everybody presenting, the people there, the new beers, everything.
Nice.
I've never been, so I'm absolutely gonna soak everything up.
And you're a celebrity, right? Didn't you win this trip?
I did.
Whoa.
Wait a second. Bring that up here. Share.
You won it? How'd you win this?
They chose. I don't know how I won it, but they chose me to basically they're paying for my way down, way back up, my ticket there, my hotel, both in Portland for the pre-excursion and the hotel back in Boston. So
win-win, buddy.
Big time.
Yeah. I am overwhelmed.
The scholarship program, right? That we all that a bunch of us helped out with, right?
Yep, and they bring him in on a chair, and you get to tickle Norm's beard, and that's it.
It's the beard.
If you find a bird, tell me.
Now announcing Benjamin. So let's wrap it up with one more question, and then we can give ourselves some more plugs. So Sean, last question from the Hoppa.
I'll start with Josh on this, if that's okay. Just in general about just beer blogging. What's one thing you'd like? And this is from Carla's question. She always likes to throw the tough ones while she's not in here. What's the one thing you'd like to do better at that you're hoping to learn from the conference or from other bloggers?
Well, my site is mostly reviews. That's how it started. On the side, I host some beer events, and I cover those. And more recently, I've been doing more brewery tours and doing more in-depth articles about that. I think I'm looking for more ideas about expanding even further beyond just your standard beer reviews. Keeping those mixed in, obviously, but what a type of topical things that I can cover.
Nice.
Cool. Normie?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to talking to other bloggers and seeing what kind of stuff they do on their site, stuff that works that might be different than what I do. Maybe they do a lot more video stuff than I do. I don't do that many videos, things like that. I'm usually light on photos, more, just a photo of the bottle. So I'm just, see what stuff works for other bloggers and see what their readers like, and maybe I can incorporate that into my blog too.
For me, I'd like to. I mean, I hope to gain from this some different ideas of events that I may be able to help host in New Hampshire or Massachusetts, and kind of get inspired by things that have worked or the things that people have tried in their own community. I remember there was the guy last year. He was talking about a nature walk, and they picked ingredients and they made a beer out of that nature walk, and I thought that was like really weird and cool. Never do it, but I thought it was like, I guess you could do that in Colorado. So, but if it translated here, that'd be neat.
Cool. I guess I'll hop in. Being better at, I don't know. I kind of took that from last year and try to make this my be better at. And when we do shows about news, it's kind of like getting the post out of the way. So we're already all talking about it. So it's kind of easier on me to talk and do a video and audio about it than kind of write it out. So I'm kind of working more on that, being a better kind of AV producer of some sort. Nothing too crazy or in your face at festivals, but more bringing it back to the Monday nights for you guys that watch and listen. So just striving to be better on this.
Cool.
And then who else we got?
Ben.
I'm looking forward to. Well, what can I do better? Sorry, I'm mixing up my questions. I want to see what other people are blogging about topically. I want to see how they collaborate with other people, other breweries. How they interact with social media. See what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, basically.
Sweet. Is that it?
I'll jump in here.
Oh, you gotta get in there.
Yeah. I'm thinking the same thing as Ben. There's the social media best practices. I'm kind of interested in that. But generally, just to meet and greet and make some connections and see what's going on. I don't know necessarily that I'm going to better myself, but I think I'll learn a lot from it.
Cool. That's everyone answered, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wrap it up for the East Coast side of this podcast, but let's go down the line and, again, name, blog, where they can find you, and, yeah, that's it. So, Ben.
My name's Benjamin Moore. I blog for ActiveBeerGeek.com for myself. I host a weekly beer chat every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Central, and I blog about fitness and beer.
Awesome. And then Chad.
I'm Chad Lothian, Bangor, Maine. I do If My Coaster Could Talk, hosted by the Bangor Daily News, and you can find me on Twitter at Chatta.
Sweet. Josh.
Josh Dion. I run Lost in the Beer Aisle, lostinthebeerisle.com. I'm on Twitter, lost_in_beer. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Norm, Sean, you can find
You can find me here every Monday night.
Yeah, I say you can find Norm and Sean here. But again, all the links to Ben, Chad, Josh's, mine, Norm's, Sean's blogs and Twitters are on the show notes. SPLpodcast.com. You can check it out there. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to cut this live feed. Those watching live, just check back in 10 minutes, and we'll have something else going here. So, guys, thanks for coming on, and I look forward to seeing you this weekend, drinking some beer, and we'll talk soon. Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Make sure everyone checks out the Citrus Saz out if you're at the pre.
Oh, yeah.
Damn. So, wait, real quick. Say that. Go ahead. Citrus Saz down.
Citrus Saz down. Me, Active Beer Geek, and Carla, the beer babe, we went down to Sebago Brewing Company. We brewed this up. So if you're at the pre-excursion at Sebago, you could check it out.
Awesome.
It's one
guys.
hell of a beer.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that hasn't tried it yet.
Me too.
That brewed it.
Good man. All right. Well, guys, cheers, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, folks, guess what? We're live again. 2 shows in a row. Don't kid yourself here. Brian from Seacoast Beverage Lab again checking in, this time with the West Coast portion of the Beer Bloggers Conference special of the Seacoast Beverage Lab podcast. Again, it's the same day as it was in the same episode that we just had 10 minutes ago, July something. So we're going to get right into it. Again, we're talking about beer here, folks. So I'm Brian from Seacoast Beverage Lab. As you know, I'm drinking the Heady Topper from Alchemist. Running low too. I only got 2 more cans left, but I saved some for people this weekend, so don't kid yourself. Coming up live and outside from Montana Alan McCormick, what's going on, man? Oh boy, muted. He'll fix his sound issues, and we'll get back to him in a second. Let's go to Carla.
Hey, so my name's Carla. I'm known online as the Beer Babe. I have a website of thebeerbabe.com. I'm also writing a blog for the Portland Press Herald called The Beer Babe up here in Portland, Maine, not Oregon. So I am drinking a Cambridge Brewing Company Triple Threat. Really, really good brew from Cambridge, Massachusetts, one of my favorite breweries down there. And hanging out from the non-weaponized room in my house. You may notice there's no archery today.
Not a bow and arrow, but I think we got Alan back. Alan, what's going on, man?
Just enjoying a really nice evening here in Montana.
Nice. Now, what's your where you're from? What's your blog name? How'd you get here?
How did I get here? That's a darn good question.
Yeah.
Well, I write Growler Fills, which I initially started out as just sort of being a generic blog of beer reviews, and now it's everything to do with Montana, very Montana-specific, Montana-focused, embracing the Montana craft beer lifestyle, I should say. And what I've got here, this is Nearly Imperial Amarillo IPA from the Tuck and Roll Brewing Company, which is based right over here in my closet.
Awesome. We got Duke. What's up, man?
How's it going? Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. It keeps randomly muting me here, oddly, so I was cutting in and out there for a sec. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Great.
I'm Duke. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I help with the PDXBeerGeeks blog, kind of helping with the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Google Pluses part of it. Let Michael do most of the writing and whatnot. I also work for F.H. Steinbart Company, which is the longest continuously operating homebrew shop in the United States since 1918. And I do a little bit of writing here and there and a little bit of radio stuff here and there. So I kind of got my fingers in a little bit of everything.
Awesome.
And
what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Hellion from Gigantic Brewing.
Awesome.
It's a very, very new release.
Cool.
Very cool. And sitting there like he's on the flight deck of some plane. What's going on, Huck Finn?
Huck Finn, yeah. I'm just hanging out here in Blacksburg, Virginia, not exactly the West Coast, but close enough. Been there several times. Always enjoy my visits. Lots of good beer, except for that whole Cascadian thing, but we won't go there. But I'm drinking a little Hebrew Genesis. Not very religious, but this has given me some. Very tasty brew. I write about mostly restaurants and where you should go to have a good beer and where you should sit, who's the best bartender. Had a grandbaby this year, which is hence the new look, the whole granddad look. So I've kind of not written as much this year, but I'm still writing a little, and I'm definitely drinking a lot. So look forward to getting together with everybody this week. It's going to be very exciting. Mrs. Finn will be joining me again this year, so we're looking for some real excitement up there in the north. My family is actually originally from the Boston area, Bridgewater. My dad from New Hampshire, Concord, New Hampshire. So might hit a few old spots. We'll be getting up there probably early on Wednesday, maybe go to a Red Sox game, and we have an appointment at Allagash Thursday at 2 if anyone wants to join us.
We'll be there.
Oh yeah.
All right.
More info on that. I'm putting together a whole bunch of stuff. Gonna tell everybody the tour times for all those breweries and whatnot that are open that day. So hopefully I'll run into you gallivanting around my town.
Sweet, Carla. I'm looking forward to it. So there you go. Cheers.
There it is. All right, get out of here. No, I'm kidding. Stick around. And then coming in for part 2, man, he's pulling a late night. He must have already walked his dog. Norm, what's up?
Not much. Norman Miller, Metro West Daily News, the Beer Nut Online, Real Beer Nut on Twitter, and I'm drinking the Maui Brewing Company Coconut Porter, feeding my coconut beer obsession, and nice. I wish I had a lot more.
Awesome. And then we have 2 of the 2 beer guys joining us, Sean and Ryan Jansen. What up?
How's it going? This is Sean and Ryan from twobeerguys.com and Thirsty No Beer. We're just here to help out with the chat and say hello to Les Nessman, a.k.a. Huck, and Growler Fills and the Dukester. Big fans over here.
Nice, big shout-outs. So, again, Sean and Ryan, if you're listening live or if you're watching live, you can check on sblpodcast.com, and there's a chat room. Sean and Ryan are the moderators, and literally anything you ask, they will say, even if it's offensive, and we'll just think they asked us. So check it out on the sblpodcast.com. But So let's cut to the chase. Again, we're here, second round. The Beer Bloggers Conference is coming to Boston this year. What that is a bunch of beer writers coming in and interacting with each other. We see each other a lot online through Twitter and Facebook, but now it's kind of like a good, kind of like a family reunion for those, and for those that are newly welcome to the beer writing industry, those that can make it down. But I guess we can start with Sean. Do you have a good question for us?
Yeah, I do. So just following what we did in the first episode, what are you looking forward to most about the Bloggers Conference?
So let's start with Alan. What are you looking forward to most out here?
You know, getting to see you guys.
Oh, you old so and so.
Yeah. You know, this is my third Beer Bloggers Conference. I did the Portland conference and then the Indianapolis one last year, and I really had to convince myself to go to that very first one. I didn't think I was worthy, just some guy who writes a blog somewhere, right? And then after meeting Brian and after meeting two beer guys and the rest, I realized most of us out here doing this are guys who have a full-time job doing something else that really love beer.
So we're all not worthy, is what you're saying.
That's right. That's right.
None of us are worthy.
Yeah, none of us are worthy. You know, met Jeff and Duke and everybody else, and it was those kind of conversations that really encouraged me to continue to do it, to make it very specific to my niche of being Montana, but also gave me sort of just that spark to start creating events and doing more with the craft beer side of things than just the blog side of things. And so I'm really excited to find out, not only just to head to Boston, check out Boston, see your home turf, and get the inside scoop from you and enjoy Maine, Portland, Maine, and Portsmouth, of course, but just to have that opportunity to connect with you guys, people we haven't met yet who will be new to this year's Bloggers Conference, and getting those new ideas and those new sparks from them.
Awesome. Jeez, awesome answer. Everyone else's answer is going to be just downhill. But no, Carla, what are you looking forward to most? Because have you been to all of them?
Yeah, so I've been to all of them. This will be my fourth, and this time you guys are coming to me, so that's pretty awesome. I am definitely looking forward to seeing old friends and new. I've actually gained a lot of people I've been talking with online, a lot of new Twitter followers in the past year, so I'm really happy that a lot of those people are going to be showing up so I can meet them in person, and a lot of new great blogs out there that, you know, I'm just really looking forward to meeting the people behind them. But for me, a big deal is that you guys are coming up, a couple of you are coming up to Portland to check out our beer and to check out our beer scene here, so that you can tell me if I'm full of crap for saying how awesome it is all the time. So I'm hoping that you guys enjoy that, and also that we, you know, just in New England get to put our, you know, best beer foot forward for everybody who's from out of town.
Awesome. Well said. Duke, what's on your mind for this weekend? What are you looking forward to?
Oh, I think you hit the first part of it right on the head. I mean, this is definitely a family reunion, but unlike any other one I've ever been to, it's got the best beer selection I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
So not just what's getting passed underneath the table during the course of the conference, but you know, what's floating around before and after getting handed out by our speakers. So that's pretty fantastic. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years. This is my third conference as well, and I'm definitely really looking forward to getting out to the East Coast. I've spent a little bit of time New York and some other places on the East Coast, but during my previous life in the airlines, but I haven't got to really dig in deep as much as I'd like to into the beer culture. So I'm really looking forward to getting to check out Portland and Portsmouth and Boston in particular. I can't wait to get there.
Awesome. Huck, what are you looking forward to?
You know, getting together with you guys, a little bit of party time, I think what's going to go on. And, you know, it's always great to see what each region of our great country, our great beer country has to show to us. And I know that we're going to see some things in the Boston area that are just going to be amazing. We're going to drink some beers that are going to be wonderful, and we're going to have a really good time doing it. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some good food, and I know that the companionship of everyone is going to be great. So I'm really looking forward to just a, you know, beer extravaganza. I don't know what else I can say, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again. Amen. It's always good to go to these conferences.
Now, Ryan, he's you didn't join first podcast, but what are you looking forward to, my brother from another podcast mother?
What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to actually being able to go this year and see everyone. Looking forward to actually spending some time in Portland, because I haven't spent time in Portland in a long time, other than just passing through. So looking forward to the Portland beers and then showing some people around Boston.
Awesome. Let us not forget those that are actually watching this that are going to the podcast, those that are going to the conference. If you're going to the pre-excursion, you are making a stop at my home turf in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and JT over at the Portsmouth Brewery and Smutty Nose Brewery are looking forward to give you a pretty awesome lunch, stopping on the way to Boston. So that's gonna be some good times there. I guess I'm looking forward to that the most, just because. Hope they don't screw up, because I brag a lot about it the past couple of years at the conferences. But yeah, so we kind of skipped over something more important, is how you guys got started. Can we start with Huck? How did you get started with your whole beer loving, beer writing thing?
Interestingly enough, I had a friend that was into craft beer, and I was Bud Light kind of guy. And one day we were somewhere where they had good beer, and he said, you ought to try one of these good beers. So I think it was probably, one of those gateway beers, Sierra Nevada, something like that. Maybe a Sam Adams, considering the weekend coming up. And I tasted it, and I said, that's a pretty good beer. Well, I started drinking beer, and so right before the first bloggers conference, I was reading about it, and I said, well, wait a minute now. So if I was a beer blogger, people might buy me free beer. So I'm thinking to myself, this is the kind of thing I want to get into, I think. It hadn't really worked out that way. But in any case, that's how I got into it. And, to give you a little background on Huck Finn, people say, well, Huck Finn, that's kind of a strange name. Well, I play poker occasionally online, of course, only when it's legal. I would never play when it's not. And my name is Huckleberry, as in I'm your Huckleberry. And I was living in Fincastle at the time I started the blog. I live in Blacksburg now, so I guess I'm really Huck Black now. But in any case, that was how I put the name together. Immediately thereafter, there was the big deal about the N-word and all that, so it kind of hurt my SEO. You bloggers understand what I'm saying there, because it really did cut me back a little bit. But in any case, I've had a good run. It's been, I guess, 4 years now, but I did start like 2 months before the first bloggers conference. I learned a lot there, and I continue to learn, and I just have a good time writing about beer and drinking beer and hanging out with beer people. We never really have an argument, do we? Maybe I don't like a porter, maybe I don't like a brown, but we all like an IPA.
Yeah. I mean, there's rarely any arguments, because usually everyone that is drinking something is drinking something they like. So they're just kind of just stepping on what they like and agreeing. But
it's nice to be in an organization where everybody's happy most of the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Just constant laughter for no reason.
Yeah.
So Duke, how'd you get started on your beer path?
It all started about 6 years ago. I'd been in the airline industry, like I mentioned before, for about 23 years, and my better half bought me a homebrew kit for my birthday. And I'd always been, craft beer curious long before then, but once I started brewing, I really kind of to go whole hog into the craft beer scene and the industry as a whole. And one day, she knew I was pretty miserable working for the airlines, and found this ad for this homebrew shop that had a part-time opening, and basically told me that if I didn't apply for it, she was going to do it for me. So that was my rabbit hole for me. So it definitely led me into I've had enormous opportunity to go to not only BBC Craft Brewers Conference, National Homebrew Conference. I've got to meet a lot of amazing people. It's just a phenomenal community of the nicest, most open, giving, loving people you could ever hope to meet. So for me, it was it ended up being a journey to a better mental health from getting out the toxic airline business into the beer community. It was a very refreshing midlife crisis wake up for me. So that's kind of what got me started.
Nice. Now I'd like to advise those that haven't been to Portland, Oregon, to at least look at PDXBeerGeeks to start. But how do you, for those that don't know about Portland and beer, can you sum it up in a couple sentences as to how crazy it is over there?
It's the Sodom and Gomorrah of beer. We have 51 breweries in the city limits, 72 in the metro area, 136 in the state, 6 more getting ready to open before year's end, and that's just Oregon.
Madness. And then how do you guys keep up on top of all that, or are you just kind of each using each other as a community to kind of cover everything? Because that's a lot to cover.
Yeah, it really is a lot to cover. I mean, just try and handle beer releases on any given week from all of these different breweries. I mean, it's almost impossible. So you kind of have to pick and choose the ones that really seem to shine above the rest. And yeah, you know, if somebody's going to cover one beer release, you know somebody else is going to cover a different one. So I don't think anybody tries to do it all because it just wouldn't be possible in the Northwest.
Yeah, I mean it's even the Northeast too is kind of, we all lean on each other to do the things, because there's a festival a couple weeks ago that Carla and Beer Buddy Chad, who was on the last episode, were at, so we lean on them to kind of take the reins up there and just do what we can, because if we're doing everything, we're just going to exhaust ourselves, right?
Yeah, you'd be spread way too thin.
Yeah, and then but out in Montana, home on the range, how did you get started with writing about beer, and I guess how did you get started loving beer?
You know, I remember back to my first craft beer epiphany back probably about 1995, and started homebrewing probably about 1997, and I've been doing it off and on for quite a while. But it may sound a little strange, but Untapped didn't exist about 3 or 4 years ago. And I started the blog really to keep a log of the beers I was drinking, purely for myself. Just kind of had fun with it. It was a way to try to keep tabs on it, what I liked, what I didn't like. And next thing I know, I had a little bit of traffic, a little bit of interaction, and started trying to tell stories more than just review beers. And in fact, now I hardly review any beers at all, because there's so many fun stories to tell out there. There's so many good people to meet, and there's so much of Montana beer that hasn't been explored in terms of the sort of the history. And I read a lot about the legislation and the strange laws that we have and the like. And it's taken on quite a fun life of exploring those kinds of stories of the people that make Montana beer, and then the people that also like to drink Montana beer. And so sure, it's all about beer, but fundamentally it's really telling stories about people, and it's been kind of a fun hobby. It's the kind of thing that when I get done with the stressful day of work, I can relax and start talking about beer, and that's really been a nice creative outlet.
So that's, I mean, great answer, and I think it goes, you know, ditto for a lot of us too. It's kind of a good, if it's not your job, it's a great after work, you know, cool down, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a weekend warm up too. But I actually in the first part of this show, we asked Sean and Norm and myself. I've even asked myself a question, the same question. But we never really got to the story of the Beer Babe. In one word, no. In how the Beer Babe become?
It's a little bit similar to Alan, actually. At a point in my life, I was living with 5 other people. We were living down the street from a little beer store called Smiley's Beverage in Dover, no longer there, sad face. And I used to come home from my really stressful job at work and bring home a 6-pack of something I hadn't heard of, and we would all sit around the table, discuss the beer, try it, you know, have fun with it, and then we'd keep a bottle from every one that we had tried. So after about a year, we had probably gone through about 100 beers, and we looked back at the collection of bottles that we had from all the ones we had tried, and nobody could remember, you know, oh, that was awesome, and that one wasn't great, and I don't know about that, or I don't know what that style was. Like, we didn't have any, like, we just couldn't, you know, really remember. So I decided to just start writing it down, and being kind of tech savvy, I thought, whatever, I'll start with these little blogger blogs, and the same thing as you, Ellen, like, people started reading it, and people started going, hey, you should come to this event, or if you like that beer, you should try this beer. You know, there were comments that were engaging and stuff. And at the time when I started, I thought I would be like the Phantom Gourmet of beer. Like, you know, I would go and try a beer anonymously, or go to a place anonymously and, like, talk about it and review it. And then I realized that the beer community is this, like, very personable, come hang out community. So then I had to start running around and introducing myself, like, hi, I'm the Beer Babe. You know, like, it's embarrassing, right? Because I picked a name that it would be fine when you're anonymous, but you know, being 5'6", you know, short-haired brunette, I'm not Beer Babe Google result kind of. So I've learned to love it, and frankly, I've just met so many awesome people throughout, and I've gotten some really good feedback and just gotten some amazing opportunities. I'm really lucky that I've made it work out financially and timing-wise with my day job to be able to go to the last 3 Beer Bloggers conferences. It just, luck every single time, you know, worked out. There was nothing going on, and I had enough vacation days and whatever to just kind of, you know, take a couple days and go out and meet some cool people. But just kind of grew from there, and I like to write, and I like to explore how to explain what beer tastes like, or, you know, why someone should try a beer. So that's what keeps me going. That's what's fun for me.
Great answer, and actually you hit the nail on the head for one of those things that I had mentioned about my own blog was trying to be anonymous to start, and my picture I think was a glass of beer. I think it was at the Portsmouth Brewery for a while, like the outside shot of it. And for the first couple of months, I was just B, like that was my signature like tag. Was like I'm not going to say my name or who I am. Then I went to my first festival and I said my name, and someone picked it up from maybe I slipped up in a post and like, oh, you're the guy from Secret Beverage Lab, and I'm like, I'm out. So like, then I decided that what, fuck it, it's time to like, you need to see people. Like I'm not going to sit in the corner, by myself drinking a beer. I have to, if I'm going to be enthused about it, I may as well tell everybody what I'm liking. So that was the start of you seeing this beautiful mug right here. And then just me telling my name. So it's for better or worse.
And that's a pretty mug.
I mean, are you kidding me right now? Look at this thing. But anyway, I digress. But Sean, we have a question from the chat we can kick off with, and we can start with Carla, I guess. Ladies first, if you will.
Yeah, it's rare that we have many veterans of the Bear Bloggers Conference and Norm that all in one place. What is the one thing that you guys are most excited about, or if it could be more than one, but what are you most excited about BBC 13 coming to Boston and the events that are happening for the week?
And it doesn't have to be Norm talking.
Is Norm sleeping?
It really does.
In the schedule, there's a lot of really cool things happening. I think on the other portion, we mentioned the speed blogging, which is the brewers that go around to the table with a bunch of different beers, and you have to kind of think on your feet as you live blog, essentially, these tastings. And the first time this happened at the Beer Bloggers Conference 4 years ago, I had no idea how to do this. Like, it was too fast. I couldn't drink enough. I couldn't think. But since then, it's just a really good exercise in kind of thinking on your feet and what kind of an impression did you get? What stories were told, and can you spit that out quickly? And actually, that probably helped me when I was covering the festival, and they asked me to live blog the festival. So being able to think on your feet, that's a really cool one. And if you haven't done an exercise like that, highly recommend it. Also, obviously, I'm looking forward to all the stuff going on in Portland. But on the schedule, that's the one thing that comes around every year that I'm like excited about.
Huck, what are you excited about?
Oh, I would have to agree that the speed blogging is excellent. The Night of Many Bottles doesn't appear to be on the program this year, and I understand a lot of times the hotels won't allow them to bring them in. So I'm going to have to, go along with Carla, mainly because she's going to be there and guiding us, but the Portland tour does sound like it's going to be an excellent time. Really looking forward to that. I know that it's all going to be great, but that's going to be, I think, a high point of the week.
Awesome. Alan?
I hate to be boring, but it's got to be the live beer blogging. That is beer geek chaos right there.
Yes.
I mean, you got to come in with a strategy with that. Like Carla was saying, the first year I did that, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just flailing around, throwing arms, spilling beer, all that kind of stuff. And now you got to have your chargers ready, you got to have all your devices ready, and you got to have everything open. And it's a pretty exciting event to try to cover and practice with that. So that's got to be the best. But looking forward to just the entire experience, getting up to Portland, stopping by Portsmouth. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, and going off of arms flailing and everything, it's good to note that if you have a laptop, you might want to hide it during that, even though we've seen one poor girl's laptop. Was it you, Huck?
No.
Yeah, I fixed it.
But he fixed it too. Had the tools.
Yeah, I had to take it apart and try it out.
Well played.
And then the other thing, the word of advice for anybody who's new to this live blogging: you don't have to finish the bottles.
Yeah.
First year, like worldwide stout.
Finishing the bottles
No, you do. You have to finish the bottle.
No, the first year I sat there and I was like, they're a bottle of worldwide stout, and we're about to go to. I can't. That's just a crime.
If you're the last person poured, you have to finish the bottle. It's a rule.
Right. We have yet to ask Duke. Speed blogging, Duke. What do you got?
Speed blogging, man, that is an event to behold. If you've never experienced it before, it's I'm sorry, but you will not be prepared. I don't care how much we tell you about it. You will not be prepared. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, look forward to it. It's a blast. It's a great time. But when speed blogging, for example, last year, I think the speed blogging was just before we went to lunch, and then lunch was sponsored by Leinenkugel, who served a big Eddie beer with every single course, and then we went back to the conference room to do comparative glassware tasting, where Garrett Oliver set 750s down in front of everybody of reserve
like
Brooklyn
Black
beers.
Ops and like crazy, yeah.
Oh dear God! It's a marathon, not a race, people. I can't stress that enough. It's a marathon,
They're all
not a
session
race.
beers.
I go speed blogging. Shouldn't it be a race? Shouldn't it be a race?
Yes, that's true.
Unfortunately,
But
yeah,
it's not an endurance. Like you don't. I don't know. You have to learn that it is okay to not consume the entire sample in any of these events. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's good advice for a beer fest.
Trust me, you don't want that Sunday hangover I had the first Beer Bloggers Conference. You just don't, okay?
Just drink in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there are beer mimosas too.
Yeah, beer mimosas.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. But a lot of us are gonna have our wives there, so I don't know if we can. You know what I'm saying?
Should have picked a better wife.
Oh, snap.
I'll be the one
hey, hold
Are
on.
you kidding?
Oh,
Mine will be there. She'll be right with us. Not to worry.
My wife's going to be there this
She's
year.
Beer
professional.
Bloggers Conference asked what to pack. Suggestions of what
Beer
to pack
and more
on their,
beer.
Your wife.
And the first thing that came to my mind was a pacing strategy.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean,
Good aspirin, big giant aspirin bottles.
Yep.
Water
Tylenol.
bottles key. Water bottle.
Water bottle.
That P complex. I'll have extra.
Multiple batteries and chargers and cords. Check your cords, people. You do not want to be
Power strips.
no power.
Yeah,
power
you
strips
want
are
power
good.
strip,
There.
yeah.
Strip, right?
Yeah, key.
Norm's got a question, I think. Normie?
This is just as a newbie going to the Beer Bloggers Conference. You guys have all been there. This is the first time for me.
This is the only thing that we have done that you haven't, Norm? Holy crap.
Come on.
No, we've done a couple other things too.
Oh, okay.
No, I
you all
didn't
got
do
married.
those. I didn't do those.
All right, what?
Am I expected to bring beer? That's what I want to make sure.
No.
No.
Good. I don't want to
No.
bring beer.
Yes.
But there will be
There is
plenty of
tasting.
opportunity to share it and to drink what other people are sharing. So usually people bring beer if they want to share something from their region to brag about it. Like, oh, I brought the best beer from, I kept bringing Portland, Maine beer out to Portland, Oregon, and Indianapolis, and whatever, so that I could continue to put mine in the conversation. But no, it's not required at all. Nope.
Fair enough.
If you got something good though, I'll take some.
Yeah, hey.
Huck, I got something.
I'm really, I go about the opposite thing. It's better to take than receive.
There you go.
So.
Jesus.
One of the best advice we can say for people outside New England is take a tip from Rick from Ales from the Crypt. He made a cooler that he could check in at the airport and be able to take like cases of beer back with him, like bringing it back home to the airport to
Two
pay.
of them.
But yeah, so he just made these coolers, and all of his beers get checked in, and they come back perfectly fine. So that's
I only lost one coming back from Indianapolis.
I lost one. Oh no, that was the conference. Never mind. I lost one from Salt Lake, but that wasn't a conference. That was a
All
different.
my beer from Indianapolis is still in Indianapolis.
Oh no!
So let's bring it back, because we talked about the speed blogging, and there is a list of those participating from Massachusetts that are of note, and some of them we've actually had on the show before. And I'm trying to find that list, and it is right. Wasn't they had a list on here?
Aren't you supposed to do that before the show?
Talk about them? No, me study? That's craziness.
I know. I started about 10 minutes before my wife started. You getting ready? Did you get ready? I said I am now.
Yeah, done. Correct.
Done. I am ready.
Is anyone?
Okay, it is.
There's a post somewhere. But anyway, so yeah, Carla, look it up. But
Carla.
but no, so the list. What's good about, for those that aren't going to this conference, it's a good thing to note that you can still go to the webpage, beerbloggersconference.com, and they have a list of every single registered beer blog in the known universe. And when I say the known universe, I mean everywhere. Saturn, Juniper, whatever. No, but the...
Can I throw a personal note in here, Brian?
Yeah, go.
Sure.
You know, the Sebago Brewing visit.
Yeah.
My grandparents used to work at a camp on Lake Sebago, the little and big Wohelo camps.
Oh, neat.
And yeah, so we used to come up every summer and hang out. And so I'm really looking forward to the Sebago thing, because I know it's going to be great, because the lake's great. Except you can't swim in it until late August because it's
No. You can't swim in anything in Maine.
No,
in late
there's
August.
nowhere
Sorry.
you can swim. I know.
No. But what's cool is that all the branding of that brewery is all lakey, so it's got like Chris Craft boats and like really neat. And they're going through a rebrand right now. They're still keeping that character, which is just going to be really cool.
One of my personal bartenders here in Blacksburg, his friend is like the accountant for them, but he's not going to be around on Thursday. So we were trying to hook up. I think his name is I can't remember. Sorry.
That's
What?
okay.
Art. But anyway, he apparently will be there on Friday, but we won't.
Okay.
But
Hey, if
you
Mrs.
see
Huck
Art,
is
tell him I
next to
said
you,
hey.
you gotta tell her to take a peek in here.
What's that?
Is your wife next to you? Tell
Yeah,
her
hey Liz, can you
make
stay
a
for to
cameo.
see you?
Oh boy.
They want a cameo of Mrs. Fitz. She's ready for bed, let's just say. She's indisposed, as we say in the South.
All right.
You'll see her this week.
Oh yeah, so I have the list here of live beer blogging breweries that are participating.
Yeah, you found it. Good.
Yeah, well, it's on the far right. It's not really in a post or anything, but here's a list. We have Baxter Brewing Company out of Lewiston, Maine. Rising Tide out of Portland, big fan.
Yes.
And friends of the show, I should say. Newburyport Brewing, they will be on in 2 weeks.
Nice.
Notch Brewing Company, Chris has been on the show before.
Heck yeah.
Backlash Beer Company, Helder has been on the show.
Nice.
Somerville Brewing, they have been on the show. Because that's also known as...
Who hasn't been on the show? This is pretty awesome.
Isn't that
They'd
fun?
list and be
Yeah.
like, hey, you.
Yeah, so then we have Thomas Hooker Brewing. Where are they
Okay.
out of?
Connecticut.
Nice.
Their brewer is Mike
Corner
Black,
Night
who's the
Warehouse.
jackknife of all breweries.
Then we have Fatty Bamkin Cider, for those
Nice.
cider lovers. We have Night Shift Brewing. They're going to be on in August.
Okay. Cool.
We have Gray Sail Brewing.
New out of Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Yeah.
Also out of Rhode Island, it's Foolproof, right?
Yeah. Yay.
That's cool.
They have
Idle-
the old Pennachuck brewer. That's why I'm so excited to try their beer. Because Pennachuck was
14
awesome.
beers. That's an hour and a half.
Oh, we still got 3 more there.
I know. I'm just counting the
that are-
list.
It's literally like 6 or 7 minutes per.
And then we have
Like,
Idle
it's
Hands.
not-
So get ready for
It's
some great
off-site,
beer.
too.
Idle Hands out of Everett, Mass.
Brian, a quick update about Idle Hands. They
Quick
just
update.
went from like a 1 barrel to a 5.
Thanks to the
This
help
week.
of Mike Lasherity,
Yes.
who
Yes.
I met and had a beer with at Whim last week.
Nice.
Awesome. Nice guy.
Yeah,
then
he's so he's working for a place called what they call TIG Pro Fabrication, but they do all kinds of steel fabrication. But they hired him to help him make custom brew houses. So he's been basically making systems for breweries all over New England. So when I was at the festival, they had Idle Hands' tank out there, and they were like, "Hey, check it out." So
then after
Making
that,
brewing
we have
possible.
Shipyard Brewing and Otter Creek Brewing Company, which would be great. So,
Sweet.
and then quick shout-outs for the Beer Social, which I guess is going to be more of a kind of a mini beer fest for those that are going.
Yep.
And I'll just rattle these off real quick. We have Dogfish, Woodchuck Cider, Rogue, Carl Strauss, Florida Beer Company, Heavy Seas, Sierra Nevada, Boston Beer Company, Harpoon, Heineken, Goose Island, and Lagunitas.
Woo.
So, if for those that are going, don't worry about being thirsty, because it's plenty of beer to go around.
Bring water and ask.
But and again, for those that found this podcast because you follow any one of us, it's good to note that we're also be coming out of this with some good information. A lot of the sessions we go to kind of stress upon how to reach your audience better, new tools to reach your audience with. I mean, last year we were talking about, I don't know, Pinterest and some things, but I got the idea of this show sort of from last year. But I mean, has any one of you taken something from years past and kind of now you're better at it because of this meetup?
I have.
Oh, go.
I was talking to Julia Hers of craftbeer.com in the Portland Beer Bloggers Conference. And she had presented all this really awesome stuff about kind of the state of craft beer and, you know, what's going on where. And afterwards I was talking to her about her session, and she told me basically that what people need to do is the same thing that all the breweries are doing, is to go and back and reflect on their local. You know what I mean? Don't try to cover everything for everybody. Just go back and look at what's awesome in your backyard. There's so much going on there that you'd never be able to keep up with that. And at the time, I was writing kind of about everything, whatever kind of came across my path. I would, review Dogfish Head, Sierra Nevada, all kinds of things. And then I realized that there's nobody talking about Maine, and, it was, well, relatively few people at that time were talking about Maine beer or anything like that. And it inspired me, it really inspired me to be the expert on what's going on out here. And it was just a huge, light bulb moment for me, and I attribute a lot of my success to that. It was something that she had, kind of put forth in her presentation, also and personally to me, because that was what she was really all about. She was just so excited about all the growth everywhere. So.
I mean, has anyone taken a little hint from these sessions? Alan, anything? I mean, we've been close the past couple times, and I see that brain turning every time there's a session. Has anything come out of the conference for you?
Yeah, it was something that a couple of folks, yourself included, hit on earlier, and that's the anonymity thing. I think we all have this little bit of fear of what the hell are we doing when we start putting this stuff out, and maybe if we just hide behind anonymity, we can avoid ridicule, great ridicule, I guess. And there was something about one of those first sessions at the very first Beer Bloggers Conference I went to that talked about engaging with the brewers themselves and engaging with people. And I took that to heart. And after going back after that first conference, started putting my name on everything, becoming, allowing it to be me, and allowing it to be me who's engaging with people. And I think that was a real important lesson to learn from those, that you can do a whole lot more with the blog. You can do a whole lot more with both craft beer advocacy as well as just telling these stories if you let yourself be you and let people know you and really engage with folks rather than just sort of hiding behind a beer glass.
Great answer. Man, Alan came prepared, folks. Duke, I mean, you're now doing a lot of different kind of things in beer. Is that partly because of people you've met?
Yeah, it's entirely because of people I've met. People that have, that's the one thing, I mentioned this earlier about this community is so giving and so supportive. I've had so many people just say, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and when I apply myself and do those things, I get great return on it. And for me, to dovetail on what Alan said, one of the themes that has come up in previous beer bloggers conferences is tell your story. It's great to share what's going on with the breweries that you like in the beer scene, but let people know what's going on with you too. And some of the best engagement I've gotten to date has been sharing with people what I'm having the opportunity to do and experience. And I think a lot of people realize it's like, hey, this is possible. Side note, you'll never get rich doing it, but hey, it's possible. To find, for me it was, like I said, I had a previous career that I didn't really enjoy. It took me a really long time to stumble into something that I truly derive happiness from. And sharing that with people is something I really enjoy doing, whether it's through the brewing classes that I teach at the shop or just sharing through my Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus feed, things that I'm getting to do and go see and experience. Share your story, I think, is an important lesson. Don't forget to let people know what you are enjoying about this little journey that you're on. I think that's valuable.
Amen. And Sean, you had a good one. You want to give a quick shout out to kind of what you created?
Yeah,
because of...
I think from us, over the bloggers conferences, one of the things that we took from it was really the collaborations and guest posts. I was really inspired by what Angelo at Brew Public was doing. At the time, he had a lot of guest posters from breweries and other just different writers in the area. And since then, at least you and I and many other people, even on the podcast now, we try to do the 25 days of Christmas, but if you want to be politically correct, it's 31 days of December. And we just have a guest poster about a different winter seasonal beer. And it's tough in the beer world to sell a winter seasonal because you're coming off of the fall ones, and then those winter ones sometimes get overlooked. And I think we do a good job about keeping that local beer local, and with the local people talking about their passion behind that beer. And I'm excited about that. Something that we've been doing over the last couple of years.
I think it's also good to know. I mean, what I keep coming away with is with so many new people that come to these conferences is anyone can do it. It's everyone. So it's kind of tough to put in words. Not every beer blogger in the known universe is going to be at this thing because either they just don't want to come and they do their own thing. But it's also important to know that you can start any sort of blog. It's just as easy as picking up a camera and doing your own like Instagram or Tumblr thing. So it's kind of good. It's good to see how people are starting up new blogs, whereas we kind of just are doing our own thing, and we're going to see many new people coming in that have a good following and have started up early. Carla, what up?
I just want to give a quick shout out. There's also a lot more women coming this year. I took a peek at the attendee list, so cheers to all my female beer blogger compadres out there. So wicked psyched about that, and for those of you guys that I haven't met, I'm really eager to chat with y'all. But I'm just so happy to see a lot more kind of equality show up in writing about beer and who's experiencing beer and what's going on there. So I'm psyched.
I mean, can you give us a quick top 3 best beers for women? Go.
No.
No.
A cider and a
Best beers from women.
And what was the third one? A Belgian.
It was a Belgian lambic, so don't. Yeah.
The beer
No.
they like
the
are the best
Belgian
beers
lambic.
from
I
women.
love it.
Foxy.
Foxy.
Norm's dog is checking in, but for those that haven't had a chance to listen to the Drink and Thicken podcast, the link is in last episode's notes. Carla was on there, and it was right about the time someone posted something about the best beers for women, and I got to bring it up because I thought, we can kind of end it with this, but I mean, what do you guys think about that? I mean, Carla, is that kind of crazy? Is it have we gotten to a point where we're sexist with beers now?
Well, I mean, I think what bothers me most is that the video took the air that it was totally okay as a woman to be confused and intimidated and whatever by beer, and here's the little nice beers that'll help you. For me, this conversation shouldn't even be about that. It should be about, if you're not into craft beer now, okay, here's a couple accessible styles you might want to try. I don't care if you have boobs or not. I don't care if what you've got between your legs. But there are some styles that are more accessible than others, right?
Yes.
But the fact that we went back to like, oh, it's okay, it's complicated, ladies, it's hard. Like that bothered me the most. And
what's going on?
I think that there's so much good and so much progress. Like I've seen a ton of women at beer festivals. Like I said, there's a lot of beer bloggers coming out that are female, and I'm excited about that progress. And that video made me just go, oh, no, like we're going backwards.
Shock value.
Yeah.
So, Sean, is there any more questions? Or otherwise, I can kind of.
No, I just want to actually, if you don't mind, just give a shout out to the people that were here today in the chat room.
Oh yeah, shout out.
We had our beer friend Bruce, who showed up multiple times. A big shout out to Bruce Plunkett on. He's got a number after it. I haven't memorized his Twitter handle, but big fan of Bruce.
Yeah.
We have Tamra. She's coming to the Bloggers Conference.
Nice.
We also have Zach Rothman, who's I'll say it out loud. He's our super fan.
Super fan.
Hey,
he's coming to the thing. He's coming
to our thing.
I'm psyched.
Well, he's coming to everyone's thing.
Can't wait to meet you, dude.
It's coming to everyone's thing?
Everyone's thing.
Everyone's
He's
thing.
coming to the Beer Bloggers Conference. He's a big craft beer fan.
Fair enough.
I really appreciate that.
Yep, definitely.
And we had BN Darkside again.
Nice.
Love the BN Darkside.
Another super fan.
Such
close.
He is awesome.
I keep the show.
We had BN Carter. I don't know if he was texting Norm any questions, but usually if attentive enough to Brandon, he likes to throw some questions to Norm just to blurt out, which is kind of funny. But so we had some people listening and watching, and we just really appreciate just seeing what the Beer Bloggers Conference is all about.
So I kind of want to ask a question to me, Carla, Norm, and Sean. We talk about what we write about, but I kind of want to know what's kind of been the most hard-hitting thing as of recent in Montana, Portland, and even Virginia. Like what? We'll start with Alan. Like what has been like kind of your biggest.
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on in Montana that's worth shouting out right now?
Good stuff.
Nice. Next question. No. No, like I guess what kind of has there any been, you know, like in New Hampshire, for example, a lot of laws have been going into place about
Right.
nano breweries and such. I know you've been doing some writing about laws. Can you give us a little light on what's going on over there?
Yeah, Montana has a legislative session every other year, and this legislative session dealt with an attempt to put some pretty significant restrictions on our breweries. And it has to do with the fact that we're under a quota system here. There's only a certain number of liquor licenses that are allowed, and those are all bought up in most of the populated areas. And so the breweries having the ability to sell pints is competing with those bars that pay quite a bit of money for their licenses. And so this session saw an attempt by sort of the folks who own those licenses to try to shut down, if you will, the breweries' abilities to sell pints on premises. And frankly, I wrote quite an extensive amount about it, based on partly because of my law background, being an attorney. I could understand it. I used to do some lobbying, had some good contacts at the legislature to be able to report on that information. So it was good to be able to provide that outlet, because frankly, it was the power of social media that was able to create a firestorm of reaction about that bill and ultimately helped get it killed.
That's crazy. So now, for breweries that can pour pints, do they serve food?
Some of them do, but most of them do it by food truck.
Okay.
And then so they're not prohibited by having food, but breweries can only sell pints between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Wow.
So it's kind of a disincentive for them to add a restaurant in.
That's so weird that they would be so, like, they would allow that so early in the day and then stop it so early in the day. Like, for me, like, drinking at 10 a.m. is somehow worse than drinking at 9 p.m. I don't know if that's just me.
All day if you don't start in the morning.
Although Beer Bloggers Conference aside, we'll all be drinking at 10 a.m., so I take it back.
Norm, what do you got?
Doesn't it start at 8?
No, I was saying I like drinking at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Yeah. So for example, for our nano breweries here in New Hampshire, is there's been a law. It's been shot down a couple times about serving pints just in general because they can't. And one of the things was you'd have to be able to cook food on premises, whether it be ham and cheese and a George Foreman or something like that. But like we in our nano breweries here,
I'm gonna do that now.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, I'll just bring my own. But no, there's no full pints here, which is it's just interesting to see the different variants of laws going on. But I mean, it's free flowing spirits in Portland, Duke. I mean, what's going on? I mean, is this beer in the water fountains? What's going on over there?
I don't know if you remember from when you were in Portland, maybe toured around downtown, but we have these water fountains that were gifted to the city, many years ago by a gentleman by the last name of Benson. They call them Benson Bubblers. And he had originally proposed to actually have beer circulating through these public water fountains because it was such a big business in this city. But that quickly got shot down. We don't seem to have a lot of issues like that. We have some incredibly broad, easy laws that let you pretty much do just about anything and everything. I mean, you were talking about food trucks at breweries for a second. Well, we have beer trucks now. We actually have a brewery that has a couple of portable trucks that they park at various locations around the city, and they sell beer from their truck.
Okay, that's the next law they need to pass here. Yes. What the hell?
Yeah.
We just said food trucks. I want beer trucks. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that will never happen in New England.
No, right.
I can dream.
Virginia,
we just got food trucks. I can dream.
Yeah, things like that just don't seem to happen around here because it's such a big part of our culture. The brewery scene. For example, year before last, we had a problem where somebody discovered that the OLCC laws were such that you weren't allowed to take homebrew outside of the home for competitions and whatnot, which shut down the Oregon State Fair homebrew competition. The bill was pushed through the state legislature in lightning speed and passed unanimously. You don't vote no against beer in Oregon. It doesn't happen. So, we don't have any of these weird Growler Fill laws like California or, have to have food, this sort of thing, So we're pretty fortunate we don't have these issues most of the time.
Any issues in Virginia there, Huck? I mean, you seem pretty laid back. Is there anything going on?
I'm not going there. Virginia is a commonwealth. It's against the law almost to even walk down the street. So I'm not going there. What I'm going to tell you, though, is that we had a lot of breweries start up that didn't make really good beer. I guess rich guys were making some beer. But the good news is now we've got a bunch of new breweries starting up, and they seem to be making some really good beer.
Awesome.
So I just want to say maybe in 2 or 3 years, maybe we can bring the conference down here and drink some good beer in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Everyone gets a quad, right?
But the laws are bad, so whatever you're going to do is going to be illegal, okay? It's all against the law.
We should have like a bad law off. Like we should just go around and be like, say the stupidest law.
The governor of Florida said, let's get rid of all laws, because really, it's like, let's just not hurt our neighbor, we'll be fine. You know?
Jeez.
We should all go that way.
No. Yeah.
Now, Norm, is there anything crazy going on in Mass that we don't know about, or anything? I know there's a
there's a big issue with Treehouse Brewing.
I know.
Yes. What the hell?
Why don't you go ahead and
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
I'll give you the short version of what I understand it.
Yes.
They got approved by the planning board and the ZBA to have the brewery on site at that farm. Some residents who weren't very happy with the brewery because they have that really good IPA that people come, blow up the street every week.
Awesome.
And, well, they stopped having samples at the brewery because some people complained that people were leaving drunk. From what I understand, it wasn't true, but the town's like, okay, you can't do samples anymore. Okay, that's one thing. Then a bunch of neighbors got together and complained that, well, this is zoned for farming and residential. They're not farming and they're not a residence. They're a brewery. So they went to the board. They had a bunch of closed-door sessions, and at the end they basically said, that's true. You guys aren't a farm. You're not a resident. You're a business. You can't brew beer anymore. This is despite what the planning board chairman said, no, this is perfectly, they have a farmer's brewer's license. They can do what they want, what they're doing there. So Treehouse is basically fighting the decision, so they're still open right now. But they've been ordered to basically stop brewing beer or stop selling beer on premises, but while they're appealing, it's not going to go anywhere. From what I understand,
You basically stop doing what your business does.
Right.
Yeah. So they've been basically, if it's true that they shouldn't have been granted the license in the first place,
right?
It's a mess that shouldn't have started in the first place. Now it's business. From my understanding, they wanted to move within a year anyhow.
I was going to say, he hinted to the fact that it wasn't big enough there.
Months in Massachusetts.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, I used to cover town government. The ZBA is very strict, but usually once someone gets the approval of it, it usually sticks. Again, I'm not covering it. I'm not out there, so I'm not sure exactly the inner workings, but that's the basic what happened. So basically, they've been ordered to stop. They can appeal, so they're open while they're appealing. If they end up going to court, it'll take about the year anyways if they plan on moving. So I don't think it'll really affect things in the long term.
It's kind of a catch-22 though, is when you're told that you can brew there, but then you have to leave. That's fine, follow the laws, but they're making fantastic. Like all their beers are winners, which is crazy because usually it's a brewery that will try to sneak in under the laws, just start brewing it.
No, and they
their beer's actually good.
Right. I mean, I can understand their standpoint from being in this basically rural farm area.
My hometown.
Probably had 8 cars a day at the most.
Yep.
Now every single Saturday you're having 300 to 400 cars. I can understand being irritated by that, but the town has to take into consideration what's legal. Just because the residents are upset doesn't mean it's wrong.
Well, and my understanding too is it's not necessarily residents, but it's one resident in particular who has this infamous history of going against businesses and shutting them down.
So we all have that a-hole neighbor.
Yeah.
I got an a-hole neighbor below me. Everybody,
You're representing a group of neighbors.
Yeah.
Had the same problem with their location before they.
Hold on. Hey, what? Norm, go ahead.
I think that neighbor was the one originally about the whole serving samples. I think there's other neighbors that are involved in the whole thing about them being not zoned for what they're doing.
The zoning, right.
Which is kind of depressing to go to a brewery. If we went to myself and Mike, another host, went to the brewery, and we never had any of their beers, and you couldn't taste it. You could only get the growlers, so it's very tough.
It's the worst thing because you're investing.
You don't know.
On a beer you never had.
Yep.
The same thing with Trillium in Boston. Trillium in Boston can't have samples.
So we got all the beers got very nicely toasted, but all the beers are good, which is fine. So I mean,
We didn't know that.
Yeah, we didn't know that. It was a big risk. But Ryan, what's up? Oh, never mind. Norm.
No, I was gonna say one of the best things is going to a brewery, tasting a beer, and deciding what growler you want based on the beer. And I hate throwing $20 down for a beer and getting it home, and next you know, it might not be a bad beer, but it's not something I want to drink 64 ounces of at one sitting. And you just got $20 on it.
Ryan Jansen.
We ended up having to go to Gloucester City Hall for a hearing for Cape Ann before they moved to their brew pub because their neighbors, who might or might not have been dealing drugs, were complaining about all the traffic into the.
Oh boy, should I mute Ryan already?
They were. We know they were.
We'll say it the easy way. They moved to the other side of the parking lot into a zone district for them, and now they're flourishing.
The look on Sean's face, like, God damn it, Ryan! Like,
I speak truth.
Hey, only truth.
Hey, we have a comment from Tamara too. She mentioned liquor stores are closed on Sunday in Indianapolis or in Indiana, and on-site premise sales only for breweries and wineries. Spirits is shut out in the cold right now. So in Indiana, beer wins. No,
I think
JD
we had.
I think everyone loses.
I think Massachusetts have that law, right, guys? Or Norm? Didn't they used to not be able to
sell? You can't sell until 12 o'clock on Sundays.
Still can't do the noon, but up
border
until
law, where if you were within so many miles of the border, you could sell on Sundays.
Yeah, it used to be up to about 10 years ago. You couldn't sell beer on Sundays unless you're within, like, I think 10 miles in New Hampshire.
Gotcha.
And then they changed that all, so any store can open on Sundays.
I don't know what New York currently is, but when I lived in New York, when I was when I worked at a grocery store, you could buy beer before noon on Sundays. Like, they wanted you to be in church. Like, that was the thing.
Well, beer is my church. Go to the Holy Grail in Epping, New Hampshire. It's a church.
That's a great church.
Great church. I go there every Sunday.
I belong to that.
And then Connecticut has a blue law that you can't buy any alcohol on holidays. So I went to buy a beer to bring Thanksgiving dinner, and I couldn't do it. Yeah,
that's still in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I was
totally stupid. I was like,
lock it up till noon on Sunday, then they release it.
Well, it's funny because Jack's Abbey Brewing in Framingham, the first year they're opening, they planned on opening Thanksgiving morning because they were going to like, hey, if you need something for Thanksgiving, we're open. And the local licensing board, which is the Framingham Police, saw that and like, no, you can't open that day. You can't sell any beer at all.
Nothing to see.
You're mistaken.
Yep. Well, I guess, I mean, we're kind of running low on time. I want to kind of give everyone a chance to give a quick plug to what they're doing, and then kind of, hey, Carla, you got to get your chance.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Tamara. She's in our chat room. She's going to be doing a session at the Beer Bloggers Conference on social media and kind of all the tools that are out there and kind of best practices. And I think that she has been around long enough to be an awesome person to listen to about that. So also check that out. So just a shout out to Tamara. But I probably usurped your shout out order, but I don't care.
Oh, but how about, so go ahead. So we'll start with you and with Alan because he's coming in and out. What's the shout out for? I mean, plug yourself. What's going on? Oh, that sounds weird. I'm sorry.
What, for me? Okay. I just want to say thank you to everybody in Portland who is getting together to kind of help put together the pre-conference excursion. Cabot Cheese, we're doing a cheese and beer pairing, which is awesome. Sebago Brewing is doing a beer pairing as well, and then there's a event after that. Hopefully at the end we will be also just kind of migrating accidentally to Novari Res for the evening. Yep. If anybody who's coming to the pre-conference has not gotten on my email list yet, please DM me or email me because I'm going to be sending out some details about what you can do when you're in town on Wednesday and Thursday before all the official stuff happens. So please get on my list. That's a self-plug, but it's only a one-time list. I'm going to delete it when you're done, but I just want to give everybody the heads up as to what's going on beforehand.
Yep. We got Drew, quick shout-outs before we hang up here.
Sorry, my son waited as long as he could before poking his head in and seeing what we were doing.
Hi, dude.
Hey, dude.
Can you say hi, Kohler?
Yes.
Follow us at PDXBeerGeeks.com if you want to kind of find out what's going on in the Portland scene. That's a great place to check us out. You can follow me at Dukester on Twitter is where I'm most active. Facebook and Google Plus as well, Duke Guerin. And I'm really looking forward to getting out to the New England area and really experiencing what's going on out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the flesh here within just a couple days.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Huck, shout-outs, go.
You know, I'm just doing what I do, drinking some beer, writing about it occasionally, and looking forward to joining you fine folks in New England.
Nice.
Yeah, they like the beard. I like the beard.
Perfect.
Yeah, it works.
Never had one. Pretty happy with it. So I'll see you all in a couple days.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
And Norm, what do you got for a shout-out, a little plug?
I have a little plug. Just a reminder of all the beer bloggers coming to the conference that myself and John Hall will be giving a presentation on how to stand out being a local beer blogger on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to meeting you all and getting drunk with you guys Saturday night.
Hell yeah.
And then buy Norm's book. Are you going to bring copies of your book?
I don't have copies of my book.
Can your publisher give us each one?
No, they don't.
Kindle. Get a Kindle.
Kindle. Nook it.
Yeah.
All right.
I want the one where he reads the whole book to you.
Yeah. Norm, we should do an audio book for this podcast. Like once a week, just come and record a couple pages.
And when you visit Manchester, you can stop by.
All right.
I want Samuel L. to
Sean
read
and
it.
Ryan, you got shout-outs and plugs real quick?
I got one shout out for Brian. We had someone that contacted us from watching our show. Krista and Jason from RootstickHops.com. That's AROOSTOOK hops.com. They were doing an Indiegogo, which is kind of like a Kickstarter, kind of like a all the other ones. They have left less than 36 hours to meet their goal, and they're trying to start a hop farm in Aroostook, Maine.
They have a hop farm. They're getting a new mechanical harvester. So if you are drinking anything in Maine that has local hops, it's coming from Aroostook hops. So,
wow.
And Indiegogo is different than Kickstarter in that even if they don't meet their goal, they still get the money you pledge. So if you go over there and check that out, even if they don't match it or don't make it, your contribution still gets them towards their goal of getting a mechanical harvester. So it's in like the upper of nowhere, Maine. But if you want any local hops at all, that's kind of where New England's doing it. So they're trying to increase their capacity. So major shout out to those guys.
Nice.
They say that they're a small family farm working really hard at growing great quality hops and invested a lot of time and money in the last 5 years of operating. We will have a harvester even if we don't reach the total campaign goal, but people should know that every dollar goes towards the machine fabrication.
Awesome.
And they're not cheap.
And we'll put that link in the show notes.
For sure, we will do that. And that goes, I mean, my plug is usually the same. You guys are already watching, but spread the word about the SBL podcast. We're doing it every week. Upcoming shows, if I can give a quick plug to what's coming up. Give me a second. Going to sblpodcast.com for all the upcoming guests. We just reached a milestone, had our 22nd brewer on with the Throwback Girls. So if you want to check out that show, that was a pretty fun show we had last week. But coming up next for brewers, we have August 5th, we have Night Shift Brewing out of Everett, Mass. The 19th of August, we have Newburyport Brewing Company. And then on the 26th of August, we have Uinta Brewing Company coming on. Will Hamill is coming on that.
Nice.
But again, if you're new to the show because you follow one of these fine, beautiful bloggers here, we're on YouTube. You can go to iTunes, listen to it. We've had I'll name a couple here. We've had David Walker of Firestone Walker, a little guy named Greg Cook of Stone Brewing Company. We just had Sam Calagione on, Riverwalk Brewing. We've had, a lot of locals from New England. I can't list them all because they're all here, but head on over to sblpodcast.com, check it out. But guys, Alan, are you with us? Negative. So follow, like I said, everyone that's been on the show, I have their links to their webpage and their Twitter on the show notes. You can follow Alan at Growler Fills, and the link is there on the show notes. But guys, girls,
thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on. I want to raise a quick toast, and I'll see you guys this weekend. And cheers, guys.
Cheers.
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 Toast, Dave.